We met him on the internet, and man, this guy's amazing. And oh man, couldn't stop talking about Bob Wright. I'm like, man, this guy sounds amazing. And so Bob and I met, became really good friends, and I'm really happy to call him a friend. And whenever I go up to Seattle, Washington, which is about 6 times a year, Bob and I always have breakfast at our famous restaurant that we always have breakfast at. And we try to meet and talk, and there's so much to talk about, so much to catch up on. And Bob is an amazing guy. He started the, I'll let him tell a story about why he started the American Anti-Cancer Institute and everything, but a great story. And just getting to know Bob over the last 9 years, and it was great having Bob. We have Bob speak several times at our events, and Bob's going to go talk about cancer on this, and also about the American Anti-Cancer Institute, etc. And he's going to set a lot of things straight for you guys, and what you guys need to know about cancer and prevention, treatment, etc. And so I want to welcome a very good friend and great speaker, great guy, and he's the ambassador, or the director of the American Anti-Cancer Institute, Robert Wright. Robert.
Yay, thank you.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and see all of some of my favorite people, Kangen Water distributors. So we'll have a little bit of fun tonight.
So, Bob, we started on why you started this American Anti-Cancer Institute, and I know it. I've heard it, but I think it's really cool for people to hear about why you started this, why you feel the need to have this American Anti-Cancer Institute.
Well, I think all of us, first of all, need to know the truth about cancer. And, you know, my friend Ty Bollinger is doing his series, and has been for several years now, regarding the truth about cancer. And he's spot on with a lot of the things that he's doing, and involving a lot of people in this industry. But I got involved after basically a half a lifetime of trying to educate myself about health and healing. I was a marathon runner, always trying to be in good shape, and to find out how I could continue to do that, stay healthy, build up my body, become a better runner, become a better athlete, and of course a better person at the same time. And it led me to study the human body, to study food, supplements, and many different things. And along that road, my mother died of cancer, and she went within probably a week after being diagnosed. And my dad died many years later of cancer as well, and it took him 16 years to die. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum, and I was with both of my parents when they took their last breaths. And some of you may have experienced that as well, or have a similar story, but it really affects you. And especially when you don't think it's time for them to go yet. Especially my mother was younger at 74, 75. My dad was 84, but my dad had not a good quality of life in his last 16 years or so. And my mom, bless her heart, was just a 2 or 3 pack a day smoker and a coffee drinker, and she'd be alive today if she hadn't done that, because we have the genes in our family. They play a small role, but they can play a major role in some people. But I started to have a desire to find out what this cancer racket was all about. And that's where I really began. And I took on this study not knowing what I would find. And I found things that really surprised me and shocked me. And I discovered that we really don't know the truth about cancer. We don't know what causes it, and we don't know how to heal it. Those are the 2 major things. And if you don't know what causes it, you can't know how to heal it. And so I really walked it backwards, so to speak. And through that process, I discovered really the tenets of what causes cancer. You know, it's largely caused by different forms of chemicals and radiation. And isn't it surprising then that in allopathic medicine, we treat it with chemicals and radiation? It doesn't make any real sense to the thinking person. And so I went about really studying the people that were involved in both allopathic and natural medicine, and studied both ends of it, and really got myself into natural medicine and supplements. And when I first started studying supplements in the 80s, you know, most of them weren't worth a darn. They were just a vehicle so someone could have a marketing company and sell some products and make money. And it wasn't till the late 80s, I guess, mid to late 80s, that I really found a supplement that was any good at all. But I must say that has changed today. And some of the best supplements and some of the best therapies and protocols are coming out of these networking companies today. And so we pay, at the American Anti-Cancer Institute, we pay real close attention to these. But this all led me to found the American Anti-Cancer Institute 10, 11 years ago now, and with the idea of finding the real reasons we get cancer and to find the tenets of healing. And we have done that. We hear every day from the American Cancer Society and most of conventional medicine that the cure is just around the corner. We just need a few more dollars, and we need just a little bit more time. But, you know, I've been hearing that since Richard Nixon declared the war on cancer back in 1971. And we're never going to have a cure through allopathic medicine. You can't have when you look at what they do. And so we know that for centuries now, we've known about cancer. And for the last, 100 years or so, we've really known what causes it and what heals it. And we can go all the way back to Royal Raymond Rife and Otto Warburg and all of these types of things and find out what it is really all about. And we've done that, and we're just about now spreading our message. I work with cancer patients every day. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We don't charge anybody anything, and yet we counsel people around the world on a daily basis. And so that's basically what we do, sharing the truth about cancer.
Awesome. Hey, so Bob, I know, what are if you can just rattle them off real quickly, the 10 top things that you would do if you got cancer. I know you listed in your book. I know when you speak all over the world, and I know you got the amazing book, Killing Cancer, Not People. And I've read that book, amazing book, love it. But what are the 10 most important things you can do if you get cancer?
Well, some of the important things you can do are the things you need to stop doing. I mean, we look at diet is fundamental. We look at the standard American diet, and the acronym is SAD, and there's a reason for that too, is because Americans want it their way. They want to eat what they want to eat. And at the end of the day, when they get sick, they want the doctor to give them the pill so they can get better. Yeah. We're trained as an allopathic society to believe that way and to operate that way, and it costs so many people their very lives because of that. So we need to get serious about our diet. And that doesn't mean we have to do everything right every single moment or every single day, but largely, for the most part, we do, especially if we want to avoid cancer, which is, I hate to say this, but it's almost unavoidable anymore. We talk about 1 out of 2 women, or 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women who will have a cancer experience. Let me tell you, it's probably at least 50% now for both, and it's going to get worse because we don't do the right things. So we need to look at what we're eating and stop eating all the junk. And we need to understand that sugar feeds cancer. It feeds cancer. Sugar is the white death. It's not cholesterol we need to avoid. It's sugar we need to avoid. And if we could just merely get ourselves off of sugar, get ourselves out of milk and milk products and wheat and gluten products and lectins, and we'd be so much better, and probably at least half of sickness and disease would leave us. So we need to stop those things right away. And we need to stop eating white salt and white rice and white potatoes and all these foods that are processed. We need to eat full spectrum salt, Himalayan salt, Celtic salt. We need more iodine in our bodies because Americans simply don't have iodine in their bodies anymore. And it's the reason that cancer proliferates in us, and that we have so many thyroid issues, and women have fibrocystic breast disease and uterine fibroids. Get some iodine, ladies, and you'll find out that most of the time these things go away. We need magnesium. We need minerals. Magnesium is the master mineral. Dr. Carolyn Dean has a Pico Magnesium. I recommend it to everyone, and especially cancer patients. So there are things in the diet and through supplementation that we need to pay attention to if we want to get well or stay well. So I would rectify my diet, and that's primary. But when it comes to taking supplements or what the things that we should absolutely do, of course, John, and many of the listeners today know that I recommend, Kangen water is the #1 thing. And I don't do it because we need more water and we need more hydration in our bodies, which we absolutely do. But I say that because Kangen water and the process of ionization is steeped in science. And when people really dig into it, they understand that healing is voltage. And where do you get that voltage? The best way to raise our alkalinity for an acidified body used to be we'd eat a vegan diet. We'd eat these vegetables that were very alkaline, and it would raise the pH in our body. And with that raised pH and getting out of an acid state, surprisingly, we become healthy again. So what's the best way in the world to alkalize an acidic body? Well, it's not the diet anymore, even though the diet is good. It's drinking Kangen water, purely and simply. I don't say that just because I have Kangen water people on this webinar tonight. I say it to everybody because everybody needs to know it. That's how you bring an acidic body. Acid is inflammation. Acid is sickness and disease. And so when we alkalinize a body, it makes a great deal of difference. And so we promote the tenets of diet, water, the right supplements. We detox the body. So critically important. If people don't detox, it's difficult to get well. And we exercise. Those are the 5 major things that we need to pay attention to. And there's tertiary things as well. But if we pay attention to those 5 fundamentals, we don't need gallons of chemotherapy. We don't need radiation. We don't need store-bought vitamin pills. We need the things that will actually build up our body, that will restore our epigenetic systems, upregulate those genes that we need upregulated and downregulate the ones that we don't. These are the fundamental things, and most of us should know that, and I know Kangen water people are much better versed in this than many others.
Yeah, Bob, I just want to be clear, and I know you, and that we don't claim that the Kangen water treats, cures, prevents any type of sickness or diseases, and you've never claimed that either. You want to expound on that?
Yeah, I will expound on it because I had a major episode involving that, and that was about 9 years ago when I went on my first book tour all throughout the Southwest, and we ended up, where else but Enagic headquarters in Torrance. And you folks know where that is. And the word had gotten out that Bob Wright, through his book, Killing Cancer, Not People, and on his tour is telling everyone that Kangen water cures cancer. And of course, I've never said that. I never say that to people. As a matter of fact, we go the opposite direction and say Kangen water doesn't heal anything. And I will say that about Kangen water, about the Relive supplements, about every treatment, every therapy, every protocol. They, in and of themselves, do not heal cancer or any other chronic illness or sickness. It's the human immune system, and we all know that. And we go about restoring the epigenetic systems of the body. And when you do that, that's the software of your body. Your genetics is the hardware. You're hardwired. That's your computer. The software is the epigenetics. Good computers don't run without good software. So we need to restore those epigenetic pathways in the body. When we do that, we help to heal and strengthen the human immune system. And that's what heals the body. There's nothing else. And so no one can say that Kangen water heals or cures cancer or anything else, although I know a lot of former cancer patients who would argue with me on that because it's the only thing they changed in their fight against cancer. But I tell them, no, the Kangen water supports the epigenetic systems of the body. It helps in the process to bring it back to homeostasis. And through the science that is behind it, it will help you in many different ways. But in and of itself, it doesn't cure anything.
Right. Now, Bob,
That clear it up?
Yeah, it does. But can you go into a little bit of detail on how the Kangen water is able to get good results if a person had cancer?
Well, it's a good question, and I'm probably going to go a little deeper here, not to offend anyone, but again, on the surface, we're trying to restore alkalinity to the human body. We're born alkaline. You ever smell a newborn baby? Smells good. You ever go into a rest home? Smells bad. Because over the length of our lifetime, we acidify our bodies. And because we eat acid foods, we drink milk, we drink beer, we drink booze, we eat beef. We eat all the foods that will help in that process of acidifying our bodies. So on the surface, we need to alkalinize our body. And as I said, the best way to do that is through Kangen water. But we need to bring those that ORP into our body, which is part of that process, that oxidation reduction potential, the active hydrogen and oxygen through those hydroxyl ions that are present in water where the molecule has been split, the water molecule, into acid and alkaline. And so we tell people we like the hydration effects and the low microclustering of the molecules because we actually want to hydrate, whereas most water just kind of goes through you. And we like the alkalinity, but I really am enamored with the ORP. And we see ORPs that go all the way to 800. We've seen them to minus 900 even. And in our opinion, the higher the better. You know, we think vitamin C is great and green tea is great, and they're minus 50 to minus 100 on that scale. But when you're talking about water that ranges from minus 350 to minus 900, you're talking real value to bring that oxygen and hydrogen to the cellular level. And as we know, cancer doesn't like either one of those. And all of you know the Otto Warburg story. You know, you deprive the cell of 40% of its oxygen, and it goes sideways real fast. And the cancer cells feed on sugar. And so we need to get that oxygen. We need to get that hydrogen. We need to get these things back into the body, the alkalinity, to take away the chance for our bodies to deteriorate through the acidification that happens through the lack of alkalinity and through all these other things that we've mentioned. And so Kangen water fills the bill for this. And I quote Jerry Tennant, Dr. Jerry Tennant a lot, that healing is voltage. Your cells got to run, folks, at minus 25 millivolts, and they need way more than that when it's time to heal. The cancer patients are running at minus 20 and minus 15 and minus 10. If you don't get that cell back to minus 25, it can't heal. But of course, you have to give it the nutrients it needs too. And so we have a 1-2 punch. We give it the Kangen water, we give it the nutrients, we detox the cells in the body, we exercise to get that oxygen flow moving even better. And this stuff works. And it works every time.
Well, I know that. Go ahead, Kelly.
Sorry, could I ask, it's a good question Rob asked in here about fasting, you know, water fasting for cancer patients or any, what's your views around that?
Well, I think it's excellent. You know, I was talking with an elderly gentleman the other day who was part of a group back 40 or 50 years ago that was using fasting on cancer patients, and it was very, very interesting. They fasted up to 21 days, and they discovered after 21 days that, gee, the cancer had easily or had substantially reduced or disappeared in these people who had, many of them, late-stage cancers. And the reason is pretty straightforward. We use this also with people, you know, who want to fast for 12 to 16 hours a day and scrunch down the time that they eat. So the body has an opportunity to go, let's say, go into ketosis. And that's what happens when you fast. Your body has to find another method to feed itself. And so the liver starts producing the ketones from the fat, which is a very good thing. So we've been studying the ketogenic diet for a while too, and I'm actually taking my venture into it on January 2nd for 30 or 60 days as well. I like to try everything that I recommend to people, but it cuts off the sugar.
Yeah.
Cancer needs sugar to survive, so it makes perfect sense to fast and or to go on a good ketogenic diet. But you can go on kind of a vegan ketogenic diet at the same time if you know how to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. And just another question, because I think a lot of people on this call are Enagic distributors, and most of us all take the Ukon, the turmeric supplement. Have you had a look into that, or your views on turmeric and cancer? And
yeah, I've looked into it a lot, and if you go to many of the databases that are available to us on the internet, turmeric is one of the most studied herbs or foods that has ever been studied, actually. And the benefits are substantial. I like to say that turmeric is one of the most anti-cancer foods on the face of the earth. And it's largely due to the curcumin, but it has many other elements within it that are still being studied, and we don't even know all of them yet. But curcumin is 5% of the turmeric, and it's very, very anti-cancer. And if you can take the turmeric and you can combine it, since turmeric is fat soluble, a lot of people want to just sprinkle the raw turmeric on their food. Okay, that's good, but it's not going to do you a whole lot of healthy good, let's say. It'll do some, but your body fights it and wants to metabolize it, and it doesn't do you a lot of good unless you mix it with something that makes it bioavailable.
yes.
And Enagic has done that wonderfully by taking their spring and fall turmeric and mixing it with 4 different oils. And because turmeric is fat soluble, the oils are going to mix with it and make it more bioavailable, and turmeric will then, with that help, cross the blood-brain barrier. And I also think that people should use a little bit of piperine. I don't recommend a lot of black pepper, but piperine is 5% of black pepper, just like curcumin is 5% of turmeric. You mix a little bit of piperine or black pepper in with your turmeric, and it will make it up to 1 to 2,000 times more bioavailable in the body.
Wow.
So Enagic has done that with the Ukon and the oils, making it at least 10 times more bioavailable. Just add a little bit of piperine or black pepper with that, and it makes it even better.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. I know, I just can't think for the life of me what it was, but was it some kind of medication? If you're doing that with turmeric, you're doing that with the black pepper and that, was there some kind of medication that you shouldn't be taking alongside that? I'm just trying to think what that was.
Well, we should always be careful. Most natural things won't interact with drugs in a bad way, but they may negate the effectivity or the efficaciousness of the drug. So we have to be careful with that. And grapefruit is one of those things that interacts with a lot of drugs and a lot of other things. And so we should always look at those things. If you're taking some types of medication, I mean, you can always Google those and find out what not to eat it with. So I can't think of anything specifically right now.
I think someone's just said blood thinners, warfarin. I think, Christine, you're right. I think that's what I've heard of.
Always be careful. Yeah, if you're on Pradaxa or Xarelto or warfarin, some of these things, always be careful with some of the supplements you take, because a lot of enzymes too, if you want to take nattokinase or lumbrokinase or serrapeptase, they are also slight blood thinners as well as being fibrinolytic. So we need to be careful with some of those.
Okay, thank you. Fabulous.
Yeah, Bob, I want to talk about the American Anti-Cancer Institute and also your book too, Killing Cancer, Not People. I know at the
You mean this book?
That one right there. Which edition is that?
This is the 3rd edition. So this is the most recent that's out on the streets now.
Okay. And can you explain to us about the American Anti-Cancer Institute? What do you guys do exactly?
Well, we're actually in the trenches. I mean, there's a lot of cancer institutes, companies, for-profit, non-profit, There's a lot of people working with cancer today, and in conventional medicine, there are actually more people that work in the cancer industry than actually have cancer. And you know, we have no shortage of cancer patients, especially thinking that 1 out of 2 people will get cancer in their lifetimes. So what we do is we don't spend a lot of money on things that don't do cancer patients any good. And we don't have a lot of money to spend in the first place, but we're a 501c3 nonprofit. So what we do is we invest in cancer patients. And what we do is this: we get information in their hands to begin with so they can be educated. This book was written so that a cancer patient could read it and understand it, they could know it, and they could use it as a tool that they could work with. Many people call it their cancer Bible. And it's written more like a novel than it is like a reference manual or anything like that. It's easy to read. And so we try and educate people on the primary level. But we work verbally with cancer patients every day. I counsel patients almost every day. Of course, I don't advise them what to do. I don't diagnose them. I don't write prescriptions for them. I merely tell them, based on their story and what they have, what I would do in their situation. And let me tell you, after many, many years of doing this, we pretty much know. We've seen almost every kind of cancer. People say, well, I've got this rare type of cancer. You're going to have to give me something different. I say, well, no, probably not. Because cancer is cancer, no matter what 26-letter name that the doctor puts on it, with some differences, some nuances. But we counsel with them on a daily basis. And I have traveled, as you know, John, around the United States and Canada for a lot of years now, giving seminars and to hundreds and thousands of people. I was in Southeast Asia, in Hong Kong and Singapore and mainland China and Malaysia for 15 days straight, doing many, many of these seminars every day, from 5 in the morning, believe it or not, till 11 at night, and to thousands and thousands of people, because they're hungry over there for this too. You know, they've got Kentucky Fried Chickens on every corner as well over there, and regular huge cancer hospitals. So they struggle and suffer with the same things that we do here. And so we have, I've got to say, I've got to toot our horn a little bit, because we've got a tremendous track record, especially with people with what we would call end-stage cancer. And that is people that doctors have given them from 6 months to 90 days to live. They have nowhere else to go. The doctors send them home to die after they've been chemoed and radiated almost to death. And we have tremendous success with these people. Of course, we like to see them sooner. We like them to have an immune system left. But we have many, many who have come to healing when given very short periods of time to live by the doctor. Some of them coming right out of hospice, and now they're alive and well today. And they're alive and well because they did the right things, not the convenient things. They did things that aren't covered by insurance. Allopathic medicine largely covered by some form of insurance, although most bankruptcies in the United States are caused by medical or medicine, and people have exhausted their co-pays and everything else, and they go bankrupt, and the patient still dies, and it should be a crime in America today. So we teach people how to survive, you might say, and most of them do, which is surprising, because people want to think, well, there's nothing you can do when someone is given 90 days to live. Well, I got news for you. There's a lot you can do, and we teach them how to do that, and the people that do, most of them heal. There are some people in conventional medicine want to argue with me on that, but they won't win, because I'll show them the healed bodies, and that's where the real proof is.
Wow, how rewarding is that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Bob, were there, like, your protocols when it comes to I know there's quite a few factors with the supplements and all that, but when it does come to the water, is there certain protocols? Like you say, cancer is cancer, and there's different kinds of cancer. There are some people that are probably going through chemo, some people that aren't doing it all. Is there different protocols that you use on how people get started with it and how much they should drink?
Well, yeah, when it comes to the water and outside of the diet, which is should be fundamental,
Absolutely.
It's the number one thing. We introduce it to everyone, regardless of type of cancer, regardless of position or staging in their cancer experience. So someone might say, well, I'm a 1A, stage 1A, and that's probably not even cancer at all, although their doctor doesn't know it at this point. A little side note is doctors are doing bilateral mastectomies on women with DCIS now, ductal carcinoma in situ. It's not even cancer. It's been downgraded to a precancerous condition, and it's just a crime against women. But we recommend the Kangen water, and we start people. You know, you've seen a person on their first day introduction drink a gallon of 9.5, and the next day they're sick, and they say, I'm not drinking that water ever again because it made me sick. And I'll look at them and smile, and I'll say, good. And I have to explain that to them, and that's a detoxification reaction, because some of these people are very ill. Some know it, some don't. And so we have to be wary of detoxification or Herxheimer reactions. Some people will see that. But we like to get people to the 9.5 as rapidly as possible. And if they're not an end-stage a cancer patient at this point, we try and get them to at least an ounce per pound of body weight. And of course, if someone weighs 180 pounds and has cancer, that's 180 ounces. And most people won't drink 180 ounces of anything during the day, so it's a new experience for them. We say, well, you don't have to get there right now. Just do as much as you can, and then start to press your comfort zone, because we find that people that do more do better. And when it comes to later stage cancer patients, stage 3 and stage 4 meaning full metastatic cancer, it's throughout the body. Stage 3 means that it's moved into the lymph system, and it's starting to move away from its primary origin, and it's probably further than that. Most stage 3 patients are probably already stage 4 patients. Mm-hmm. It's just that doctors can't recognize at this point with their diagnostic equipment how far it's spread at this point. So believe it or not, we tell them this thing that a NAGIC will never agree with, and I understand the liability issues, but I'm not a NAGIC, and I don't work for a NAGIC. I love the company. I love the people that work for them, but nobody pays me to say what I say, and that includes the NAGIC company. And I'm free to say whatever I want. And again, I told you that I don't prescribe any water to anyone. I just tell them this is what I would do. And what I would do with stage 3 or stage 4 cancer is I would drink the 11.5 water, and I would drink copious amounts of it. I would start more slowly because of detoxification reaction and the fact that we find that most of these 11.5 waters produced by the NAGIC SD501s, K8s, whatever it might be, have a higher negative ORP. And so this is very powerful stuff. Again, we don't say it heals anything, but we have some miraculous stories. And again, we say more is better. We know people that have gone straight to a gallon a day, boom, and they did exceedingly well, to the point where doctors found no cancer in their body. We don't say the Kangen water, the 11.5 or anything healed their cancer. Some, again, would disagree with that. But I tell the story all the time about a gal in our local area here who uses that water. I drink that water. It's never harmed me. It's never harmed anybody I know of. I know people who drank it for a year or more. Young man, 17-year-old, I met him face-to-face in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. He had come to us a year and a half earlier. His dad brought him to us and wanted our advice on what we would do in that situation. And I said, well, if it was me or my son, this is what I would do. And it included the 11.5 water. And he started to drink lots of it. He was given up by conventional medicine to die he was one of the 90-dayers. His dad was frantic. We got him on our 5-step protocol, which included number 1, well, besides the diet, included Kangen water, moving to the 11.5 as rapidly as possible and drinking a gallon a day. Well, I met Kenny Kong a year later when I was down there. He was smiling ear to ear. His dad was so happy. He was falling all over the place. And this boy was alive and well. He had no cancer in his body, and he was thriving.
Wow.
And so, You know, we were all shocked that the 11.5 didn't kill him, of course. No, just kidding. It's never done anything bad to anyone. And when I look at that, I mean, come on, folks, let's look at the science. I know people who use cesium chloride for cancer. That's 14. That's the most caustic. It's the most alkaline mineral anywhere. They can only use it for a period of time because your body lets you know when you've had too much, and you have to take potassium supplements because it'll drain your body of potassium. And these people are using that, and it's helping them. It's helping them dramatically. So I'm not even remotely worried about 11.5 pH, even though it is 100 times more alkaline than 9.5. Folks, it's not too alkaline. Don't worry about that, but always start slowly so you don't get a bad Herxheimer or detoxification reaction. Work into it.
Yeah.
I've talked to Dr. Filtzer, at least about the 9.5, and he said that it's pretty much impossible for anybody to get too alkaline from this water. Now, Bob, we get a lot of people asking about your book, how to get the book, and what I'll do is I'll leave a link for you guys where you can pick it up, where you can order it. Bob, can you get it on Amazon?
Well, you can. We prefer you go to our website, but you can get it on Amazon if you. Our website's easy.
Yeah.
You just go to americanaci.org and you can order it there. We do better with it when you come directly to us, but if you can't do that, go to Amazon and get it. Regardless of how you get it, go get it.
That's AmericanACI.org. American, A as in anti, C as in cancer, Institute. AmericanACI.org. You can pick it up there. And it's a great website to for reference and things like that. So you definitely want to check that out. Kelly?
Yeah, it's a fantastic book. Boy, has mine, I've got 2 of them, and they look absolutely tattered to pieces because they've gone around and around and around so many people. So that's great. And the ebook as well, right?
Yes, there's an ebook on there that you can get in almost any format, so you'll be able to download it.
Which is great. Now, in each edition, is there is the Kangen Water mentioned in each edition?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
And there will be a 4th edition, but don't wait for it. Get the 3rd edition now. Yeah. But I'm working on the 4th, and it's just about completed. But there's a long process of getting it to production and getting it out. So we're months and months away from that happening. But the 3rd is the most complete edition. That's the one that's available now. And another thing is that we do a newsletter every month. It comes out on the 1st of the month. And you can go to our website, just scroll down to The Right Stuff. That's what it's called. You just enter your name and your email address. It will come to you electronically every month around the 1st. And there's all kinds of good tidbits in there every month. It's free, folks. It's free.
Now, Bob, what I love, you know, what really gets me is that you get cancer, and then these doctors prescribe chemotherapy, which is a poison, and radiation. And I know that according to Oncology Magazine, 80% of doctors who use chemotherapy and radiation on their patients wouldn't use it on themselves or their family. And according to that same and doctors in the United States will lose their license if there's anything other than chemotherapy or radiation for cancer. And according to that same article, only 3% of people who get chemotherapy live more than 5 years. So you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I'm just, that just blows me away that, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's all true. And that was in the Journal of Oncology. So it was the cancer doctors literally telling on themselves. But that 3% figure, people want to argue with that. And I've talked to doctors and all kinds of people, and they would say, that's ridiculous. American Cancer Society tells us that 40, 50, 60, 70% of people are being cured of their cancers. Well, I got news for you. Those are mostly skin cancers, and you can almost cure skin cancer with anything. But I don't want to make light of it because a lot of people have problems with it because how they treat it is they cut it out. And then they cut more out, and then it comes back and they cut more out till you're missing a lot of your body at that point. But read my book. In here it tells about Curaderm. It comes from a place, Kelly, close to you. It comes from Vanuatu, and they make it from eggplant. And to this date, It has healed every skin cancer it has come in contact with, and it comes in a cream form. So that's something we can use the C word with, or the cure word with. And it does, not melanoma, but basal cell carcinomas, your ordinary skin cancers.
Okay.
Get back to this. I got in contact with the guy that wrote that study. There was 3 doctors, epidemiologists, but he was a oncology radiologist. Graham Morgan, Dr. Graham Morgan, lives in Australia. And I decided I needed to get to the bottom of this. He lives close to you again, Kelly. And I got in touch with him via email, and we talked several times. And basically, in the final analysis, I wanted to know, is this study really true and verifiable? And is it the same today? Because it was published in 2004. And to make the story shorter, he said, his last words were, absolutely. It's true today, and it'll probably be true tomorrow. And so less than 3% of people who undergo chemotherapy are alive within 5 years of their diagnosis. And some people, we know some people do survive chemotherapy and radiation. But what we need to know is that chemo and radiation have no ability to kill all the cancer in your body, period. Because they both cause new cancers, and they spread the cancer you have, and they will not kill the cancer stem cells. It's just a fact. The studies show us that. So it's going to migrate, it's going to move, it might hide for a while, but we hear so often that, well, the cancer, you're cancer-free, and then 3 months later, 6 months later, the cancer's back. Well, it's not back, folks. It never left. It never left. And so we need to do the things that will eliminate it completely. And we do that through these 5 things that we talked about.
I love
it. Awesome.
Bob, do you want to talk a little bit about your protocols that you do for cancer and how you work with cancer patients?
Well, what we do, again, the 5-step protocol, and again, there are some things that come off the sides of these individual protocols. You need the right diet, you need the right water, you need the right supplementation. We recommend the Relive products because they are the purest and greatest form of down to the cellular level nutrition, so they work perfectly with Kangen Water.
They're great.
And yeah, they're great. And we recommend detoxification. In Chapter 9 of the 3rd edition, you will hear me talk about PIO, Precision Intestinal Oxidative Hydrotoning. Best form of detox available anywhere in the world, but unfortunately it's only available in 2 places in the United States now. But in the meantime, detox is important. You can use coffee enemas, you can use other forms of chelation and other ways to detox your body. And of course we know Kangen Water detoxes the colon and other parts of our body very well, as does good nutrition. So you're already in the detoxification process. And exercise, we use whole body vibration, rebounding, those types of things.
Okay.
But these are the things that we utilize. And of course, we recommend turmeric. When we get into supplements, the main supplement is the food supplement, Relive, and the Relive Now or the Relive Classic, and the Luna Rich X, which is relatively new based on the 20-year-old discovery of lunasin, the peptide or protein by Dr. Alfredo Galvez, who's a geneticist and a friend of mine. I'm learning genetics. And I told Dr. Galvez that I figure in 20 or 30 years, I'll have it down pat. It's hard to study. It's kind of a joke, but epigenetics is easier. And so I urge everyone to study more about epigenetics because it is the real secret to how you're going to heal your body. And you are the one that's going to heal your body. Your doctor's not going to do that. And so we use those. We use turmeric, vitamin D3, the B vitamins, so incredibly important for us, but we need to get them from plant sources, and that's what we do. Don't buy fractionated vitamins, folks, and don't buy them from a big box store or something like that, because most of that is junk. The best cod liver oil in the world, where you're going to get your omega-3 fatty acids, your D3, your vitamin A, and 100 other things, is called Blue Ice fermented cod liver oil. It's in the book. Kelly, you've already read about it. It's in the 3rd edition of the book. You get it from the company called Green Pasture.
Kelly, you got a question?
She froze up there momentarily.
Cannabis oils. Oh.
Cannabis? Yeah, interesting. You're gonna read about that in the 4th edition of the book when it comes out. I wrote a whole new chapter on it because it's so important. We're going to find that the plant kingdom is going to be essential to our health and healing in the future. It's going to be absolutely essential. So I've studied the cannabis oils. I've studied the hemp oils.
Yeah.
And you will find on our website now, and you'll see it in our newsletters, and we have a store on our website. We don't sell anything, folks, but we still have a store. You can go to our store and see the things that we recommend, and when you click on them, it will take you to the people who do sell these things. And so there's a number of good oils out there. I had to decide. I went back and forth between cannabis oils and hemp oils, and both of them have some very, very great qualities. I personally do not like the long-term effects of cannabis, especially the THC. And there's some things that people need to know and find out about those. But there are some things that cannabis oils are very good for you. But I prefer to use the hemp oils. I prefer to use the cannabidiol. Both the THC and the CBD are cannabinoids. But I prefer to use the cannabidiol. And we use the cannabidiol from the company that was first, and the company that I view to be the best. Although I tell people, you do your homework. Find the company that you like. Find the hemp oil that you like, or the THC oil if that's what you like. But please don't smoke it. You smoke anything, and you're flooding your body with carcinogens. I understand why people do it, especially with late-stage cancers, and that's because it helps with their appetite and it helps with their pain, and no one can fault them for that. But I think you can get that through the oils now, whether you choose to use the THC oil or the CBD oil. I choose the CBD oil, and I use it today. And I'll continue to use it because we're going to find out, if our government lets us, how great these things are. I mean, children with epilepsy and children with autism, tremendous results with this. Cancer patients, tremendous results with this, to the point where, cancer's gone. And we can't say that that the CBD oil or the THC healed it at all. We can't say that. But we know that it helps in the epigenetic systems and the human immune system. And remember, that's what it's about.
You want to explain to people real quickly how pharmaceutical drugs are found and how it's basically from natural form? I think that's really important, and what they do to things that they can't put into a man-made form.
Here's a little known fact to begin this, and the pharmaceutical companies have a new program with all of their reps. And that is to try and get every person on the face of the earth on 5 drugs as soon as possible.
Really?
Do you believe that? And I've heard about that. I've heard about that from pharmaceutical reps. And so pharmaceuticals, now there is a place for pharmaceuticals. We know that. I mean, shoot, if I got to go in and have a major operation, I don't want them to knock me out with a mallet. I want a good drug to put me out. And I want a good anesthesiologist. And so there are times when drugs are indicated, and we should have them. But that's more like 10% of the time rather than 100% of the time. And so we need to be very, very cautious, because I can probably name for you something that will help the situation that you're in that is natural as well or better than the drug will. That's not always the case, but it is possible. And of course, we know that drugs are synthesized from natural plants. Largely, that's what they utilize. They use the trees and the branches and the roots and the leaves and the barks and all of the oils and things from plants, but they have to synthesize them. They can't use them raw because they can't patent them that way. God already has the patent on those things. So they would have to synthesize them, and through that process of synthesizing, it largely doesn't work, or it'll work very marginally. They'll still make drugs out of them, and they'll still give them to you, because when they gave them to this cancer patient, one of them survived, or two of them survived and didn't die, you know, right away. Or if you'll read these drug ads, especially for cancer, I know that you don't see them in New Zealand. They don't see them in Australia. Only Ireland and the United States can have on their televisions drug advertising. But they advertise these, and when you read the small print, it says, these drugs are fantastic for people. They live longer. And you look and you see it cost $100,000 and they live 2 months longer. I mean, gee, aren't we smart enough to see through that? Come and see me. I'll show you something that'll make you live way longer than that. Of course, I can't guarantee that, but it generally works when you do the right things.
Yeah. Bob, we just got a couple minutes here. So in closing, if anybody has any questions, you know, feel free to ask them, but you can type them out, but we only got time for a little bit here. In closing, what do you want to leave us with in the next 5 minutes? If you can just tell us a little bit about, you know, what you would tell us, your famous words of wisdom to us.
Well, read my newsletter that comes out in a couple days. So sign up for that, because the front of it is always, the first page or 3 pages or whatever is always a word from Bob. And I usually have something that I want to touch on that really matters. And, well, at least it matters to me, and I'm hoping it matters to you. But we need to take charge of our own health. We need to stop being the people who just go to the doctor and just get the drugs when we're sick. We need to discover what really works. And Kangen Water people have really done that to a degree, because they know of the efficaciousness of Kangen Water. Again, not saying it heals anything, but we know what it has the capability to do for our homeostasis and for our immune systems. And so we need to take that charge of our body, but we need to go further than that. We need to study and find out these foods that really work for us. We need to get away from the ones that don't. We need to stop eating sugar. Folks, it is the problem. It is the problem. I mean, there are several others that go with it, but we need to stop eating packaged food. We need to stop eating white bread. We need to stop salting with that kind of salt that you buy at the store is going to raise your blood pressure. But if you eat full spectrum salt like Himalayan salt, it's not going to raise your blood pressure. It's got the consistency of minerals that your blood has. It's good for you. You almost can't eat too much of it. So we need to get the things into our body that support ourselves. We cannot be arrogant enough to say, I drink Kangen water. I drink a gallon a day or half a gallon a day. That's enough. No, it's not. It's good. It'll help you tremendously, in my opinion, but it's not enough. We can't be complacent with our health. We can't say, well, I put gas in my car every day. That's enough. It'll be fine. Well, no, it won't over time, and neither will you. And so we need to do more because as I said when I started this thing out, it's getting harder every day to avoid cancer, no matter what you do. I know vegans that are getting cancer. I know people who tell me I did everything right. They're getting cancer. And so it's getting harder and harder to avoid it. And so we need to pay special attention to what we put in our mouths and what we put on in our bodies. It's so critically important now. We need to get rid of our caustic detergents and our soaps. Women, gee, we've got natural makeups now that work very, very well. We've got toothpaste without fluoride in them and foaming agents that work very, very well. We need to start doing the little things. Do one new thing a month, and by the end of the year, you're doing 12 new things, and it's going to help you be healthier and healthier. So I would leave you with that. Just make this your resolution. Take charge of your health this year, this new year, and it'll make a significant difference in your life.